Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Aligned as Fuck podcast, a human design experiment. I am your host, Candy Barone. And I have to tell you, I have been secretly just like getting very giddy about my current guest who is going to join us today. I absolutely love Karianne. And let me tell you, she is like a Care Bear soul sister to me. So before I tell you how magical and delicious she is, let me just remind you, for those that are tuning in again, and for those of you that this is your first time, this is our space to get raw, real, gritty, and jump down some serious rabbit holes. This is unfiltered. This is just being in real conversations that matter, and it is really allowing ourselves to be seen in a way that we can, as leaders, make a difference and make an impact and connect in ways that are likely missing right now. And so I get super excited because I never know where these shows are going to go. And it is always a rabbit hole adventure that leads us somewhere beautiful and delicious. And in knowing Carrie and knowing her on my show, let me just tell you, I know we are in store for some magic. So first, let me just say welcome, welcome, welcome to Karianne Munstedt for joining us. I am so thrilled to have you. I am so thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Andy. I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm so happy. I just want to squish her every time I see her. And she really is. I mean, her name's Carrie and she's just this Care Bear and she's just, I love her heart. So let me tell you a little bit about Karianne Munstedt. She is the founder and CEO of Strategic Impact Partners, where she elevates executive presence through strategic visibility. With 17 years in the corporate world and a celebrated career as a business owner, portrait photographer, speaker, and coach, Karianne blends business strategy with creative vision and deep authenticity. She partners with executives and leadership teams to craft intentional, high impact visibility strategies that reflect who they truly are while aligning with brand identity and business goals. Known for her warm concierge level approach and her big old heart, Karianne helps leaders show up with confidence, credibility, and presence, positioning them for lasting impact and recognition. In addition, she is a wife and mother of two children and three fur babies, plant lover, and an avid reader. And once again, I cannot express how just thrilled and over the moon I am to have you here.
And you know what? That is the first time I've heard that bio read. And I was like, hey, actually, that's pretty impressive.
Honestly, is the place we're going to start because I love that you just said, because I know where we're going here. And well, I say that and then we're going down a rabbit hole, so I don't know where we're
Who
going. So,
knows exactly?
anyway, that being said, right there, the fact that you're like, that's the first time I've heard that bio. And I mean, you've been in business for a while, but this bio is new. You have been undergoing, and by the way, just so y'all know, she's a 6'2" pure manifesting generator, because we're going to be talking about some of that today as well. But that being said, this is a brand new sort of level up or glow up that you have recently just been sort of coming out of the cocoon and the chrysalis and like in this metamorphosis transition. So let's start there. Let's talk about the fact that this has been a major pivot for you over the like 2025. And the
Year, yeah, few months, yeah.
first time you're hearing your own bio back to you.
I know. I mean, it's not like I've never heard of bio, but this one for this business, because this business is brand new. In fact, it's 2 months brand new. So we wrote this bio, but this is the first time I've done a podcast using this bio, so it's very exciting. Yeah, it's been a massive chrysalis, transformation, reinvention, whatever words you want to use to go with it. Which, I think it's been going on for the past couple of years. Like, I'm seeing things a lot clearer now. We always have hindsight, and I'm seeing things like I just thought that my business wasn't going so well over the past couple of years. And, there's things with the economy, there's this and that. And I think that those things are true and real. But I also think that what was going on is that I was shifting within myself and I wanted more, and I was changing. And so the world just kind of aligned this year in, February of this year, of being like, not bringing me any new clients, and at the same time forcing me to have to look at my past business and say, hey, this isn't going like we want it to be going, and what can I do different to keep going and to keep providing for my family, to keep having a job and all the things. What can I be doing differently? And I had a major epiphany, but I feel like we should go still back a little bit farther though to the Dames conference and kind of start there. Does that sound okay?
That sounds perfect. And for those of you, I've mentioned the dames with a couple other guests on this show. This is how I know Karianne, and we met virtually, and then actually had the opportunity to be in Denver together last October. And I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in at any time here too. And if you want to, add some more, but and I don't exactly remember how everything went, but we did as a group of women, we all got together and we did this activity where someone led it. Have you had Minette on your podcast? I believe that you had, right?
Her show's airing, I think, next week, but yeah,
Recently, yeah. I feel like I've seen some clips for that. Anyway, Minette Riordan,
a long time.
she led the group. She's a like a creativity coach. And so she led the room in this activity where she drew different animals. And the first time she said, I don't know, she said something like, go to the animal that you most resonate, or that, I don't know exactly, you most resonate with, or something like that. And all these animals were up, and everybody's going to certain places. And I was having a really hard time with this. Like, I just didn't know where to go. And there was I think it was the bald eagle, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure that that's what the one was, because it was vision. That was like there were words associated with each animal. And so I finally just walked over there, and I wasn't really sure why I walked over there, because like I don't know, it just like I really wanted to have vision for my business. Like I want a clear vision of where I'm going. It was something that I really wanted in my business. So I was like, okay, this works. I wasn't really paying much attention to the activity, but I was like, okay, that's fine. There's not that many people over here. I'll go over here. Okay. So that's kind of where it started. But then she asked the question, something along the lines of, now go find the animal that least resonates with you, or something along those lines. I don't exactly know. But I was like really, looking around the room again, and nothing was resonating. And I looked at that bald eagle again, and I looked at vision, and I was like, it's the same thing, because as much as I want to have a vision for my business, I feel like every time I create a vision for my business, it doesn't come true. I don't hit the goals that I set forward for myself in my vision, and then I feel like a big fat failure over and over again. And so I was like, okay, I guess vision is the thing that I most want and the thing that I'm the most scared of. So we're just going to sit over there, and clearly this is telling me something. And then you spoke at some point and said something about vision. So I walked over towards you at the end of the conference, and I was like, so this is what happened in there. Is this something that you could help me with? And you said, absolutely. So that's kind of where our work started. Kind of, I think it was like November, like about a month later, we got started on that work, I think, right?
100%. And what was so crazy about that? So there's so many pieces around this that are crazy. And what I love about this is because I do know Carrie's design so well, because we've done work together, and I've gone through her human design, which has been part of some of the story that's going to continue to unfold. But what's crazy about it is I was a sponsor. We were both sponsors at the event. Carrie was doing her photography. I was doing work in human design. So I had a whole table set up, and it was talking about human design and leadership and all the things. I was not talking about vision. I was not talking about business strategy. I was not talking about any of that. It was literally just helping people tap into their human design. And so for her to follow, and she has gate 57, for those of you that are familiar with what that means, the gate of intuition, she really trusted this kind of like, I don't know what just happened, but some pieces just kind of fell into place. And this word vision is showing up. And again, I happened to say it in context of something else when I was speaking about something, that Karianne came up to me and said, I don't know if you do this work. Like, it was a
Right.
question. It wasn't even like, hey, I see what you're doing and I want to work. It was I'm feeling a draw to you and
Right.
wondering if you do this. And it was so crazy because my response was, that's my bread and butter. I'm just not here talking about
Okay, great.
this thing. And I'm
That's good.
conversation about that. And like we literally, the synergy was just so dialed in. And it's such a perfect example. The reason I love this story for so many levels, one, because it did give us the opportunity to work together. But I also love it because it just so profoundly shows that when you are dialed into trusting your knowing and trusting when, as a pure manifesting generator, her sacral was like, uh-huh. And leaning into that without knowing what it means, because she also has defined ajna, which means oftentimes she likes to run things through a very logical, linear, mathematical, structured way of and for in this moment she took an opportunity to have courage to step away from that. And
Yeah.
I know in working with Karianne, very much that logical, linear, analytical brain is there. And
Yes, for
you
sure.
take both the sacral that was going and your spleen that was like, this feels really good,
Right.
trusting that. I mean,
Yeah.
that right there is the critical moment that I think people miss, because I want to talk about that, because as you started to realize how powerful that moment was for you, I don't want to like shortchange the fact of that moment that you believed enough in yourself and trusted. Talk
Yeah.
about what that was like for you, because I think people
I
always
don't do it very often. Yeah.
and it happens in a moment, right?
Yeah, and I don't do that very often. I don't uh, maybe I feel inklings of something, but am nervous or feel stupid asking or, I mean, again, I go back to that very logical place and I don't follow my intuition as much as intuition is working for ourselves. I don't. And so I but I also try to lean into my authenticity and my vulnerability as much as I can. And so in that moment, I was feeling very vulnerable because I was just having this like weird experience of not understanding, like really vision, like it's like I was just feeling really like mixed feelings around it. And but just to completely lean into my intuition and walk over to you again, it felt very vulnerable to even ask the question, like, do you do this, and but it was completely aligned with what I needed. The universe is telling, leading me to that, and me following those kind of hints along the way. um it's a profound moment because I don't do that very often. Like you said, like I don't listen to that often. And so I have to look at that moment now and just be so proud of myself for following that. Because if I wouldn't be where I am today in everything. And we'll get to that in a few minutes, but like, wow. I mean, you're even bringing it up to me like, wow, what a profound moment that was really in this whole thing.
Love about it, and that's what I was doing. I was glancing back at your chart again, is it's your
Yeah.
conscious voice node, which means it is the theme that's going to keep expanding for you. It's that gate 57 of intuition that is, you are going to find that now that you've really had a taste of it, that where you're like, I never really did that before. My bet on the table is, if I were to lay the bet down, is I'm guessing you're going to tune into that a lot more, and you have been. Like, it's been crazy since that moment, because the
It
other,
has.
I want to make sure that we put into the context of this conversation is, not only was it an extremely vulnerable moment to come up and go, I don't know quite what I'm asking. You seem to be my person. I don't even know if you do that. There was so much uncertainty. But the other thing that really I think is phenomenal about this was, you're like, I've done a lot of strategy work. I've done a lot of vision work. I've never really looked at it through the lens of energetics. And there was a little bit of apprehension or
For sure.
skepticism. And for you to go, because I even remember our first kind of conversation just to have a discovery call. And there was this, I don't know about this space. Like, there was a real skepticism that said, are
For
you
sure.
sure this is gonna be able to do the thing? And I don't know, like that I don't know about this woo woo energy kind of like, what are you going to do to me? I don't know what human design is. I don't know what Gene Keys is. Like, I don't know the things. I think that's also another example of you trusting what was showing up, because not only was it incredibly vulnerable to be in that uncertainty and to ask the question, both of yourself and of me, but then to be like, wait, how do you do this? And what is that weird thing you're doing? And what did I just sign up for? Like, there was that piece of it too on the front.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Important.
That's a great call too. I think I was just at the point in my life where I had been doing things in a certain way and, following the logical, analytical, do it from that perspective, and it wasn't working. And it hadn't worked. And you're talking a lot about energy, and so many people in the Dames are talking about woo topics, and it's outside of my comfort zone, and I'm getting more comfortable with it, but it hasn't been something that I've leaned into a lot during my personal life, my business life, anything like that. And so, but it was like just leaning into the energy of things a lot more. And the energy of my business was feeling heavy. The energy of so many things was feeling heavy. And the things that you were saying was like, it just felt like that I could use the energy to help me guide me in different directions. And I didn't know exactly how that was going to happen. And it felt very weird and very woo. And you're like, really, like, you need my birth date and my birthplace to like tell me how the stars were aligned on the day that I was conceived and that I have a soul contract. And like, what? It's still to this day, I'm like, don't really completely understand everything that we did. But I also think that I don't have to understand everything that we did, because I just have to lean into it and feel the energy of it. And things have changed for me dramatically in the past 6 months, in the past 3 months. So clearly that was what me at this moment of time needed in my life, in my heart, in my soul, in my head. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up too, right? This was a very different direction for me to go, but I really leaned into that as well.
Well, and can I just, because of the work that we did, and because this moment is very monumental right now, is the way that you just said, I still don't know if I know what we did, and I don't need to. You have fully officially reassigned your ajna and that logical brain to its right role, because you realize how that plays. Because before, that would have been a limiting thing for you. That's like, I don't know how
Sure.
it works. I don't know all of the ways, and I don't have the proof. And there's this space that creates paralysis sometimes. For those of you that
Right.
have a defined head and a defined ajna, there can be a space that says, yeah, but this doesn't make sense, or I can't understand it fully, so therefore I'm still apprehensive. For you to be able to go and to say so boldly, I don't even know if I really know how it all works still, and I don't need to. Because I remember one of the conversations we had, and I think this was a huge turning point for you, was when we said that your sacral had to take back its seat as CEO and chief
Mhm.
visionary officer. That for you to be able to drop back in your body so that you could listen to that grunt that was like, something juicy about this.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Uh-huh.
Feel the deliciousness of the visceral energy that wanted to speak to you. But when I met you, or when we first started working, you had your chief operating officer and chief financial officer sitting in the CEO seat.
Yeah.
And it was that opportunity for you to invite them to take, well, one, go back and do their actual job, but to take on sort of that energy of, and I always like to use an analogy where it's like, Steve Jobs walked in and said, we're going to create the iPhone. And right away, all of his, leadership team was like, we can't do that. And his response was, I didn't ask, can we do this? I said,
Right. I said we're doing it.
and how. And that was and so I want to talk a little bit about that for you, because that was some where our conversations went multiple times. Was, how does Carrie in her body sit back in that seat in her throne and is like, no, I'm the visionary, I get to like play with the ideas. And how then did you offer that as, how are we going to do that, and gave that task over instead of the other way around?
know how to answer that because like I don't even think it wasn't like a cognitive thing that happened. It was just us repeatedly over time talking, and it finally happening. I mean, I don't even know if it fully changed over the first time we did our coaching together. It wasn't until the break that we had, and then during that time, I kind of let things settle a little bit and then came back. And then that's when I feel like that had shifted within me. It just takes time, especially when something's so new and so different. And so unknown, and you've been operating in a way for so long, and it feels weird. And
Yeah, and it's also a function for you. And for those of you, if you remember, I said she's a 6-2 Manny Gen. It's that 2 line. It's actually the 6 line that needs to have some time, space for integration to drop into that embodiment and really be able to feel the wisdom. But it's also that 2 line that's like, I need to go hermit now, and I need to go like ruminate
yeah.
and contemplate and let it like integrate into because that break was pivotal for you.
It was completely pivotal. I mean, we did some really wonderful work during that first I think we did like 3 months or 2.5 months or something like that. Um, and there was nothing wrong with that time. It was all great. And we came up with we ended up doing a really great vision for me that I felt good with. And we did a vision around some business growth, around some personal relationships and that kind of stuff. And the financial piece of it, though, I'm still like thinking back to that because I'll never forget. I had a goal of doing like $30,000 a month or something like that. And you're like, well, what if you could do $50,000? And I was like, screw you. I can't do $50,000 a month, Like I have shown myself repeatedly over and over. I have zero evidence that I can hit 30. I mean, I've hit $30,000 a month in my business one time over, 7 years. I don't have any evidence that I can do repeatedly. I don't have any evidence that I can do 50. So like this is what was on my head. Like I'm going to fail at this vision. I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get it. So although we ended wonderfully and it was wonderful coaching, that was still kind of part of my thinking, when we finished it, like, yeah, this sounds great, but I'm not gonna like in my business as it is, the only way for me to get to do these numbers is for me to give more of myself, more of my energy. That's the only way, it was branded as myself, Karianne Munstedt Portrait. It wasn't a scalable business. It wasn't a sellable business. It was a business that it was only me doing everything. And in order for me to hit these higher numbers, I had to do more and I wanted to do less. And so everything was very confusing at that time. Like, yeah, we had paths to be able to do it. I was going to start coaching and we were going to do it around the Care Bears theme. And it was really fun and cute, right? And all those things. And it would have been wonderful, but it would have just been more of me and more of my energy that I had to give away. And that was very much at odds with me wanting to have more time for stuff for myself, have more time for my 6-year-old son who actually likes me right now. And he'll like me for a few more years until, he gets to be a teenager. And then, and then it'll be a different game then. But it's like, it was very much at odds with me giving more of myself, yet me needing more of myself for me because of the energy that I was expending. So while we ended that coaching beautifully, I felt very like conflicted afterwards because I was like, how am I going to be able to do this? How am I going to be able to do this? So before we go into the next thing, I didn't hear what you said.
Go finish what you were saying.
No, I was going to say before we go into the next kind of iteration of like going into the new business, then what's coming up for you here?
I was going to say that's what I actually was. The question was, so what happened then in that in between phase? Because we finished up that space and lots happened, and yes, you crafted a vision, and then there was this epiphany. There was this whole processing and moment of this integration phase that you had that said, I want to cast a new vision. Because I remember when you reached out, you're like, can we cast? Because we do a life script, which is a way that you can really bring that vision to life and bring it into your body and your cells and like all the things. Talk about that pathway then from, God, I got all this stuff, but something still is feeling. Because this is
feel right. It feels heavy.
And this is so real. I think people think whether you work with a coach, whether you do a program, whether you do the thing, oftentimes we think there's one silver bullet, that there's the thing, and oh my God, I'm going to have it. No, oftentimes what it does is it cracks us open, and then we're like sitting in that chrysalis goo that says, shit, I know I'm moving through this transition. I know all these things cracked open and I got clear on some things, but now I'm kind of feeling a little wonky. And I think where we really need to lean in is there's a magical space that when you don't just go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next, and you
Yes.
let yourself slow down,
Yes.
you really sit in contemplation and ruminate and integrate, and also give yourself permission. Because I will say, I know in your journey, you gave yourself permission to lean into some rituals that were not practices you were doing. So I want to talk about that, because that's the piece that I think is missing most of the time. That people are like, oh, I did that coaching and now there's still nothing. And I'm like, what did you do after the coaching? What did you
Yeah.
do before you did the next thing that you thought was going to change everything and be the epiphany? Because there's a piece that we own in that, right? There's a piece that we go, oh, wait, I got to actually like do something with.
Actually have to like implement this stuff and like think through it. Regarding the rituals, I don't even do them anymore. So I don't even remember what they were that we created. That's so funny.
It was ones that you were like, I step back into meditating, I step back into journaling, not things I normally do. And I had these breakthrough moments. What was that? Talk about what happened during that period. And then what happened when it got clear, even if you're like, I don't remember, because that's also real.
Yeah.
Some of us don't remember when we're in the goo and the thing happens. We're like, I don't know the moment. I just know all of a sudden I was clear. So you can even fast forward and just talk about all of a sudden I was clear.
Yeah. And I think that's what happened. It's like I'm not doing those rituals anymore. So I don't even remember exactly what I was doing, but I was doing more. I was sitting in the morning for at least 5 minutes in quiet. Like I don't remember any breakthroughs happening, but all the times things are happening subconsciously, right? Like we're still thinking on things. We're still thinking on things. I started kind of getting back out in the community a little bit more and going to networking events and, listening in on people talking about, selling your business. And I'm like, gosh, I'm never going to be able to sell my business. Right. So just like all these things were kind of happening all at the same time, really in January. And then we had a big change in administration. And that really just, that was a hard time. We're 100 days in and it still is a hard time. But that first like week or two, first couple of weeks for me were a pretty hard time. And I really started questioning a lot during the end of January. I was questioning my business a lot. Like I had loved my business and I had built a really beautiful business doing so much good work around body image for women and helping women just have wonderful photos of themselves. I had been doing so much good work there. And yet my heart wasn't in it anymore. And I keep blaming it on like the economy and stuff like this, but really my heart just wasn't there anymore with it. It was feeling heavy for me, and I wanted something that didn't feel so heavy. The change in the administration and people losing jobs and nonprofits, not getting funding anymore and struggling, and people, our world kind of being run by billionaire bros. Like it was just very heavy for me, and it was all kind of in my subconscious and in my thinking. And I was like, I have no economic power in this world whatsoever. I do fine in my job, but like I'm still not wealthy enough that I can help these nonprofits. I mean, there's so many things that I can't do that if I had some more economic power in this world, I could help more too. And I don't want it to be one of those women who's like, I'm just going to give all my money and to charity and all this stuff. Like, because I want to have a really great life too. I'm the sole provider in my family. My husband is a stay-at-home dad. And like there's a lifestyle that I want for us that I haven't been able to provide too. So like I want more for us. I want more for my community. And I just wasn't able to do that through my business. So all of these things were going through my head. And the defining moment, sorry, I'm just going to take a quick drink of water. The defining moment was I was on my way to this new networking meeting. It was my first time I was going. I think it was like February 4th of this year. And what should have taken me 45 minutes because of traffic was going to take me an hour and a half. So instead of listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook, calling someone for that day only, and because I never do this, but for that day, just something told me just to turn off the radio, turn off the stereo, and just think. Use this time to think. I was slowly crawling in traffic. So it's like, I could just think during this time. And I just, all these things, right, were rolling around in my head. Like, my business isn't working. It feels heavy. I don't like where the world is right now. How can I give goodness? Like, how can I do more for this, right? All these things are rolling around. And I swear about halfway during that, I was like, universe, what can we do? What can we do here? Just rolling that around. And about halfway through that car drive, it just hit me. Boom. I mean, by the time I got to that location, I had my business name, I had my whole business plan. I was ready to rock and roll with this. Like, it was wild how quickly it happened. And yeah, it's evolved and changed over the 3 months. It hasn't even been 3 months. It's so funny to say that since I have had this big epiphany, but I am fully in this business now with multiple clients on board. I mean, I am doing really great.
Like everything, right? And it was crazy when you sent me the message. Because again, I always like to look at what's going on. And again, there's that intuition that you trusted. There's that gate 50 right in your North Node. But I also love because your conscious moon is gate 52, which is that ability. And for a Manny Jen, it's really hard, especially because Carrie's got a lot of power in her chart. And it's like, it's hard to slow down and get still. And yet she has the gate of stillness that says, I have the same one. And trust me, it's not the easiest thing to quiet us down. And like, we're in place and we like to be moving and we got 20
always
for spinning. And like, meditation is hard and slow. Getting quiet is hard. So the ability, I do that as well in my car. I found I get a lot of downloads driving. I have found, and I think you and I had shared this expression. I call it stillness in motion, because especially for Manny Gens that have this marker in their chart, it's how do we create stillness while we still can move our bodies or be in motion? Showers are great epiphanies. Driving,
warm water. Yes, that is my other place.
Because we need to be able to actively be doing something that takes some of that big energy and distracts it and pushes it out, so that then we in our body, and I wouldn't say thinking, it's our actual body, can get quiet enough to hear the nudges, to hear the whispers, to hear the things. I know I had one of those where I had to download the one time I was going to talk about teaching them to lead from love with love and feeding the soul of business. And I was like, you want me to do what, where? Like, it was literally a conversation in my car. I just drove off the road because I'm like, sure, I can do that with entrepreneurs. And I got this very clear, you need to go back where you came from, which means I was supposed to take that back in corporate. And I remember the first time I did that, it was that, what? And it was so clear that it's like, I don't know how I have to say yes. Like, it was,
you have to. I mean, it's right. Like, it's so real. And it's so like, this is what you have to do. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it. Talk about what happened the minute you said yes. Like, everything from your own energy, how it felt, to like how magically delicious all the pieces started to just line up.
It's been incredible. I mean, it's just an evolution of what I have been doing, right? I've been doing photography for women business owners, small business owners. And now what I'm doing is I'm doing more visibility services. I don't really call myself a photography business anymore. I call it a visibility business. So I still do photography, but what I'm doing now is doing it for larger businesses. So 3 million to 20 million in revenue, typically still women owned, because I still want to support women, and I want to see them, see them centered and see them gain market share and all those things. But what we're doing is we're on the photography realm, we're really coming in and of course showing what they do, but more than that, like showing who they are at the heart and soul of their business, right? We're photographing their culture, their amazing culture that they have in their companies, the impact that they're making in their communities, communities, when they're speaking, when they're sponsoring, when they're doing, when they're doing all sorts of different things in the community. So I'm still doing what I'm doing. So it wasn't like a big shift or anything like that. I was like, oh, like these things have been here in front of me all along, and I just have to look at it in a little different way and give myself permission to, because what it was is that Karianne Munstedt Portrait was my name. It was my business. It's what people counted on me for. People were inspired by what I was doing, and how could I stop doing that thing for everyone else? But the thing was is that I had continued to do it for everyone else and wasn't doing what I needed to do for me anymore, right? And so when I gave myself permission to kind of just like step into this next version of my business and kind of just step into the next version of myself. I mean, it has come together so quickly. I put together some marketing materials. I pitched two people who I knew who fit my client profile and who I knew would say yes to me for a couple of months to help me beta this. And they did right away. I mean, yes. So March like 1st or something like that, we started, and I have just finished betaing these two clients, and it just went wonderfully well. And we've learned a lot over those 2 months as well. We've added more, I call it visibility services, but I mean, you can call it marketing services too. I have a whole team of people who can help with so many different things. And so we can help on just the photography side, but we can also help with more. We can help with public speaking and with podcasting and with coaching and with everything that has to do with visibility. So it's been amazing. And so let's see. Let's see. Back in March, the beginning of March, when I started this. So March 1st is when I went online with the beta of this program. Well, a week later, I had an opportunity to pitch this new business in a pitch competition for one of my local networking groups, and I won the pitch competition. Like, a brand new business, and I won the pitch competition. It was amazing. So it's like people were already getting really excited about it, and then a few weeks later, I had the opportunity to present to another networking group. It happened to be that networking group that I was driving to when all this came to me. And so I was able to present my new business to them too. And I just kind of pitched it the same way that I had just pitched it and won. And they were so inspired by that I landed a huge client. I mean, I'm still pinching myself that this has happened, but like my first non-beta client that I received from this is a 6-figure client over a year. Like,
Yeah.
I only made a little bit more than that in all of last year. And one of my clients right now is already almost what I did all of last year. It's wild. And then I have one of those beta clients continued on. The other one I knew she wasn't going to, but she was very helpful in getting things going. So it was wonderful. I have 2 more people who I am talking to. And so I have a plan to continue adding 2 more clients a month till I hit 20 clients. And then it's probably just going to sit there, so we can still kind of keep it small and a little bit more boutique and intimate, but I have plans to expand it to other major cities as well. This is a scalable business. This is a sellable business. I mean, this is amazing. It's literally everything that I've ever wanted from a business. And me, I'm not doing a lot of the photography anymore. I am really stepping into my role as the CEO, as the visionary behind this business. And right now I'm doing photography for it because, it's still brand new, like everything's not in place yet. But I'm going to take myself out of the day-to-day stuff and really be the person bringing in new clients, the visionary, meeting the clients, all those types of things. And that is so exciting to me. I get to sit down every day and do research on clients and like figure out ways to help them. And like that is really fun and inspiring. So it's just like I feel so reinvigorated and so re-inspired in this business. And sometimes we have to let go of things that we love, right? I mean, we know this in like our personal lives as well, right? Sometimes we have to let go of the things that we love in order to soar in other ways, right? And that's what I've had to do. While I have loved my previous business, Karianne Munstedt Portrait, I have put it on the back burner, and it's hard because people are like, wait, what? What are you doing? And, people are kind of like not super happy about it sometimes, but it's okay. It's what I needed to do. And I am extraordinarily happy with where I'm going. The energy feels so good. And it's like, it's easy right now. And I don't mean easy in terms of like, there's still a lot of work, I'm still doing a lot of work, but
So
it's
there
easy.
has to be a little bit of work or you would go crazy.
Well, yeah, but it's the energy around the ease of us. I've always wanted a calendar that I wasn't literally working from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. and working every weekend, but that's what I've been doing. And now it's amazing because my calendar is like that. And now it's this point of like where I'm having to work through that though, because now it's like, oh, well, this is working time. You should be working. You shouldn't be resting right now, or you shouldn't be doing these other things. Right. So I'm having to work through a lot of that stuff. You know, I don't need a lot of clients. So I don't have a ton of like leads coming in. And then I feel, oh my gosh, I'm a failure because all these leads aren't coming in. It's okay. And I just have to rework through this kind of new baseline of what my business is going to be. And I'm going to get there. It's fine. But, there's a lot of other things that are popping up right now for me. But I'm going to get there. And it's okay because it just feels really good right now.
Well, I love it. And there's a few things I want to unpack in that are
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
fantastic. One, I want to talk about the fact that when this really hit and you gave yourself permission to say yes, it became clear that it was about visibility. It was about helping create visibility around who these businesses were and their culture.
Right.
And what I love about it is if you've known Karianne before this transition, you will also see a massive shift in how visible she's allowed herself to be. And so there's
Right.
been this, I think that is such an apropos word for you that is like visibility because it's like you literally have spread your wings. You've come out of that chrysalis and like you're allowing your wings to be as big and as beautiful and as bold and as colorful as they want to be. And you're owning it. Like you're so walking with that presence and creating that visibility for your energy. The other thing I want y'all to realize is I get asked this all the time, and Karianne's such an absolute like validation of this statement. People will say, well, how long does it take? The minute you get aligned, the minute you freaking get aligned and say yes to yourself in a way that is so fucking powerful that there is no turning back, it literally, you can make last year's income in a moment when you are that cleared, that you are that dialed in, and you don't let all of the old conditioning and narrative and programming and way you process get in the way of your truth. And so you are such a fucking epitome of saying yes to yourself, knowing that. And the other piece I want to say is there's two pieces. One is I know people are upset because I'm not doing the Karianne Munstedt photography thing, but I had to do what was right for me. Oh
Mhm.
my goodness. That we need to stop worrying about what everybody else is going to think, do. Someone's going to be butthurt. Oh my, stop. You are here to live out your purpose and your life.
Yeah.
Gift.
Yes.
Again, beautiful, beautiful freaking example of that.
And I have to say, Candy, I mean, while things still I don't really fully understand, that was something that you kept saying, I love this idea of having a soul contract with the world, right? And I don't exactly remember what my soul contract was, but it was more than what I was doing, right? Do you have it there? Do you, like, or do you even, do we,
You want to hear do you want to hear it?
yeah, can you tell me? Am I living it now? Let's see.
Look at Karianne's incarnation cross and really look at what her overall like purpose and function of being in the world at this moment at this time. I love the way it even starts. Your cross is expected to lead where there is a dire need for someone to step forward and provide a solution. With this energy, there will be an expectation for you to come through to save the day. Preparation is key for you as the expectations are large, making sure you are ready for the task at hand. Turn it down as the consequences of failure may be great. So you actually didn't let the fear of failure creep in, which lives in your chart, and said, I feel that there is a need.
Yeah.
I feel like I have the solution that can drive this need forward in a way that nobody else can.
Yes.
And
100%.
allowed yourself to spread those wings, put your crown on, and like step into it like the queen you are.
I love this. And when we first learned this, when we first went over this, my soul contract, I thought that it was in the body image realm, and that did the same thing, worked for what I was doing in the body image realm. But this also works for actually what I'm doing now. And I think it actually applies more to this. And that's why it still felt not quite right when we were done with that first round, because I still wasn't fulfilling my actual soul contract that I was put on this world to do, right? Like that really resonated with me, that that my soul was brought into this world to do something, and that, and that just really resonated with me so much. And like, so I think that it was probably, again, subconsciously there of like, you're still not doing it. You're still not doing it. Like, and now I like, when you just read that, I was like, this is exactly what I'm doing now.
Oh my God, this is so important. And it goes back to what we were just talking about why you need the space so often. And this is what I hear. I've heard this from many people that I've worked with, but I also know people that work with other coaches and whatever similar. And I've had the same epiphany in myself. When we engage with someone to get their assistance to help us get clear, help us vision, we can only go as big as we can go. Meaning, sometimes we need to actually break through. We get what's called our growth's edge, and we get a space where we're like, God, that was really awesome. And that was great. And all the things, and something's not there because we still created an upper limit or a cap because it was part of our conversation. 30,000 months. I'm like, do 100,000 months. You can do 30, you can do 100. Like, what's the freaking difference? And like being able to bust out of that, oh my God, 30 would be great. I'm like, then how would 50 or 100 feel? So if 30 is your aim, we're going to say 100 because then 30 is easy, right? It's changing the mindset so that we get so fixed sometimes in our own limitations, and oftentimes they're subconscious. But this is a perfect example. I've had multiple people, especially, and you've done a life script twice, that the second time the life script's like, when I ask people the difference, and I'd be curious on your feel, the first time was like, that was great. And I felt, and like, yeah, I made a lot of things happen, and some of them happen really quick because the first life script can only be as big. Right.
Yeah.
Second one, and I remember I had a guy that I worked with. He was a VP at Visa, and he was like, holy shit. And I said, what? He goes, that second life script was totally different. And I said, what was different? He goes, this one was about what mattered. This one was about my family, my vision, my future, and everything I thought was going to take 10 years. I can do this year. Like, this is all real. And so I'd be curious because some of this is, yeah, okay, great. We did the work, but you did the work. And the thing is a lot of people will stay stuck at that first limit. Yeah. Even when they're making some of those things happen, they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Instead of something's still not fully open. And am I giving myself permission to say, I mean, I'm feeling my own chrysalis goo right now. In fact, I'm calling it the liminal limbo is the space I'm in right now. That space of, I know I got to dig my foot out of this spot and fully, because the other thing that you talked about was there's a letting go of identity. Yeah. You're in a space now where you are really redefining who you be.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I feel like I'm showing up in person, in my thoughts, in so many different ways, in a different way. Between the first one and the second one, the first one felt good, right? There was nothing that felt, it was good. It's just that it's still like, I'm like, it's not quite right because I don't feel like I still don't feel like I'm, again, there were different areas. There was business, there's personal life, there's physical, personal was fine. Physical health and mental health, all those things were good. It was the business piece of it. And I was still just like, I don't know that I can do this. Right. Again, it's because it came back to the energy. Like I have to just give more and more and more of myself to be able to do this. And I don't think that that's what I want to do. Right. So now the next one feels so good when I listen to it because we talk about like, the perfect clients are going to come and it's just going to be easy. And that's what it's been. Honestly, it's been easy. And again, not in that it's not work. I'm out there working it every single day. It's just the energy around it. Like people are coming to me because they're like, they see the value and they're just like, yeah, let's do this. Like, yeah, sure. I'm still, showing them, going over everything with them, but like, it just, the energy around it feels so much better. And I have to tell you, the coolest thing is you were just talking about the financial piece of it. So I just have to go back to that for a second. So, in my last business, I, would be lucky if I was making $20,000 a month. So when we kind of set my goal for $30,000 a month, it felt so unachievable. And then you're like, how about $50,000 a month? And it's like, oh no, just right. Like I had a lot of stuff around that. But do you want to hear the coolest thing is that this new business, when I get to my 20 clients, I'm going to be making $100,000 a month. I mean, that's at $1.2 million a year. So by the end of year two, I will have $1 million plus business. And then when we take this and replicate it in different cities, that will be another $1 million plus per city. And like, that is the wildest thing because I was just so stuck and just, it took working with you and just, even though again not everything makes sense, but just really listening to my intuition and letting it all sink in and just working through it and listening to what came to me and saying yes to those things. Like I have now I now have I mean, it's not quite there yet. No, I'm still building it and everything, right? But this business is on track to be the business that I always wanted. And it's just the most exciting thing.
I love it. And my eyes are getting watery because
Oh,
I feel like a big old mama bear that's just so happy right now.
hug through the screen.
And I know because you've sent me, I still remember when you sent me the text message that was like, and I was like, it was on April Fool's. And I was like, this is not an April Fool's.
Say that.
You're like, I want to do that to you. I was like, oh my God, I just so thrilled. My mom was sitting next to me when it happened. She's like, why are you crying? I'm like, I love moments like these for so many reasons. First of all, anybody that knows anything about human design, you can see what it looks like when a Manny Gen is aligned and lit up and just full of life and passion and ideas and brilliance. And like the other thing that just lights me up beyond the expansion that you've had. I mean, literally things are just, you're such a magnet. That Care Bear stare is so lit up right now that you are just drawing things to that beautiful radiant light of yours is your belief. Can I just please just congratulate you on the fact that in your voice, in your energy, I can hear the belief. I can hear the fact that you can see this vision continuing to unfold and how big it's going to be and the ownership and the ability to stand in that and I don't necessarily know what's coming next and I'm here for it. And it's gorgeous, Carrie. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
You. It's such a different feeling. It truly is, right? Of like the belief and the knowing, because I never believed, and while I wanted to make more money in my last business, I never really believed that I was going to get there. And now I 100% believe that I can reach whatever heights that I want to. Wherever this business falls is what is going to be good for me. I'm creating this business in such a different way from the last one because I've learned so much. And it's like, I just want to work with women-owned businesses. I just want to work with women on my team. Like I am creating an energy around this business also that because I'm just having this epiphany right now. I mean, it's all about the energy because I hadn't ever done this work before. And so I am creating a 100% energetically aligned business to me in this new business and not anyone else, to me. And it is amazing and it feels so good and it's working. And so thank you so much for that. Wow, what an epiphany I've just had.
Oh my God, now I'm gonna get off this call and bow my Which is awesome. And that's the magic, right? That's the magic sauce that when we understand, even when we don't understand all the pieces apart, because truthfully, I've been doing this for a long time and I still don't understand it all. And when we can trust and when we can invest in ourselves, buy into ourselves, believe in ourselves, and then align everything energetically to match that. That's all it takes. It's all about your frequency and vibration. And the way that you make this happen, it can be instantaneous when you embody what you want to call in. And you are such a gorgeous, beautiful example of that.
It can be instantaneous, and it was instantaneous.
And it was like,
it's wild.
I mean, like, seriously, it's the minute you align yourself.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
the minute you bring yourself into a space where you are aligned as fuck into your energy and you stand in your truth and let
Mhm.
all of this outside of you be noise that just quiets down, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that. So that being said, because oh my God, I'm gonna run around the house. I'm so excited. I'm like gonna cry, run, scream, because my Manny Genius is just so lit up for you right now. It's just, I just you. Two things so that we can bring this to a close. And I want to bring you back. I want to actually bring you back in a couple months and talk about what's continuing to expand. And
Would love to. Yes, that sounds exciting.
no, this started in October. We started November. Her trajectory for the new business has been 2 months since February. Like we
Well,
are
February is when I had, so yes, October, November, February is when I had the idea. March 1st was when I went full time with it.
like, come on, y'all. Instant. Like, let's see where this is. We're going to want to follow your story for sure. I mean, I follow it. I want you to tune in and hear part two for sure. So that being said, Carrie, how can people reach out to you? How can they connect with you for any of all reasons?
Yes. Well, this is even weird because like I'm kind of in the middle of two different worlds right now, right? So, I mean, I'm just going to go with my new business because that's really, that's where I'm going forward. So, where do people connect with me now in my new business? That's a really great question. Well, I'm hopeful that we're going to put all the information in the show notes. So the website, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Have everything in the show notes.
Okay, good. Because I'm like, I don't even know. Your website is strategicimpactpartners.us. Right now, we're Phoenix based, but we will be expanding to more and more cities over the coming years. Email Karianne at strategicimpactpartners.us. I'm sure we'll put, other information in there too. I don't have a lot of social media, and the interesting thing is that because of the social media is kind of an energy suck for me. And I was looking for ways that I could cut back on my social media because I felt like I had to be on it a lot for my previous business. And I don't as much for my new business, which is a weird thing because I'm helping people with visibility. But then I'm like,
but it's also awesome because people think they have to be on social media to build a business. And you are another example of no, you don't.
no.
You can
And
manage in a
I
way.
am going to do one social media. I'm going to be on LinkedIn. So you can go find me at Karianne Munstedt or at Strategic Impact Partners on LinkedIn. So definitely connect with me there. But I'm not going to be, I mean, Facebook is just going to go back to being something fun for me. Yesterday I posted about how I was wearing white pants and I had to drive with a towel on me all day so I didn't spill on my white pants. And I'm going to just post more of those things because those are fun.
I mean, seriously, I love
Yeah.
that because not only did you say yes to yourself, not only are
Yeah.
you really aligned as fuck in your energy, but you also are manifesting the life you want on your terms without
Yes.
playing somebody else by somebody else's rules or somebody else's game.
Yes, 100%. Everything that I've been wanting. Like, I want to be able to do more stuff for myself. I want to cut back on social media time. I don't want to be working. I want to come into the office at 9 or 10 and be done at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't want to work on the weekends. Maybe I could take a Friday or a Monday off too. All these things that I've been wanting, like it's all just happening now. It's amazing. I'm taking tomorrow off all day. Like I'm going to the spa tomorrow. I'm hanging out with my kid. I'm doing all sorts of things. I'm repainting this wall behind me because that is not my branding color anymore. All these things though. I am literally everything that I have wanted in my business that I could not make happen through my last business is this business is fulfilling all of it. But because I have done it in a very aligned way that is matching the energy that I want to be expending and the time commitment that I want to be putting out there. It's aligning beautifully and it can happen for you if you're wanting something different as well, not you, but somebody listening, like it can happen. And I am, proof of that it can happen.
Yeah, I love that. I love you. I love your
I
story,
love you.
this journey. I do. I love you, my whole heart. I just
Thank
adore
you.
you. And I cannot thank you because just thank you for your transparency and your vulnerability and your just wide openness on this show and sharing the story because it's been a journey, right? And it's been
Yeah,
beautiful and it's been expansive and we're messy parts and there's things
sure.
and like I love that we just got into it all. And so thank you. And
You're
I'm just
welcome.
You had one last thing you would say to everybody who's listening, what might that be?
Goodness. I mean, just sink into the listening to yourself. Turn things off for a while. Go find a quiet space, even if it's you're driving or, sit in a hot tub or something and be surrounded by warm water. And just, we're always so busy doing things. And truly, when we take the time to just be quiet and listen into our thoughts, I mean, it's truly where magic can happen. It happened for me. I know that it happens for lots of people. So that is like the one piece of advice that I could give to people.
I love that. I love that. And such a perfect time of year to be doing that as well, to really just get ourselves quiet. There's
100%.
a lot of noise going on in the world right now, and we can't hear what our heart and our soul wants to say to us if we're tapped in to everything else. So, Carrie, thank you so much for being here. I
You
just
are so welcome. Thank you.
thank you,
We'll,
thank you.
we'll just do our Care Bear stares at each other. Oh,
Ah!
you should put the picture that I sent to you in the show notes. The Care Bear picture. Love it.
Oh my God, I love her camera picture. And yes, we will do that. I love that. And for all of you that have tuned in, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here with us and on this journey. And in this conversation, I hope you took away some hope and optimism and belief in yourself after listening to Carrie's story. Be sure to tune in to the next episode. And if you haven't already, subscribed and leave a review. It is how this gets out to more people. So, with that, we will catch you all on another episode of the Aligned as Fuck podcast. I am Candy Barone, and I will see you next time.